Good morning, everybody, and thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Juan Morales. I'm the Senior Staff Field Application Engineer for SmartHQ Pro here at GE Appliances. It is an absolute pleasure to be with each and every one of you today, and we welcome you to this live training event hosted by Encompass Supply. So Encompass, a big thank you to all of you out there, Lisa, Andy, Andrea, John. There's so many different names, right, that we could say, but thank you to all of you for your continued support, for welcoming us to your platform, to your channel. And today we're going to be bringing you all that are joining the call a little bit of knowledge on the SmartHQ service application. And in particular, we're going to focus on refrigeration today. Okay, so we're going to focus on how to assess, like if, for example, the refrigerator is not cooling properly, how to find out if the ice maker is working or not, maybe evaporator system is not functioning, things of that nature. Okay, we're going to kind of play it by ear today, all right? There's so many different things that can go wrong with a refrigerator, but we want to focus on the most important things, especially since summer is coming up. And of course, with the summer months, the heat brings on problems with refrigeration, just like every year, right? So let's go ahead and quickly get started, my friends. What I want to do first and foremost, I want to go ahead and share our contact information. So we do have a website where you can follow us and get more information related to this product, and that is smarthqpro.com/service. And of course, if you do have SmartHQ service and you need support, or if you just have general questions, you can always email us at smarthqservice.support@geappliances.com. So that is our contact information, my friends. And again, we have a jam-packed show for you today. It's going to be about an hour duration time. But pay attention to everything we're going to talk about today, because everything is going to be related to how this tool, the SmartHQ service application, and of course the module, will help you do one thing and one thing only, and that is run more service calls. Okay, we want you to have open up more capacity, have more time throughout your day to be able to do more work, right, in the same amount of hours. So there's going to be a couple different ways we're going to show you how to do that. One of them is going to be firmware updates, where if you simply flash a board or boards in some of the appliances, it is going to repair the appliance rather than you having to actually physically replace the parts. All right. Something else is your troubleshooting time, right? Instead of having to pull the unit from the point of installation, measuring test points, things like that, you can do it all from the app, and that's something we're going to be covering today in detail. So for those of you that have never seen this system, let's go ahead and quickly get started and show what the SmartHQ system is all about. So at the heart of the system, right, what you're looking at right now, my friends, is the SmartHQ service system. At the heart of it all is that Bluetooth module that you see right there in the middle of your screen. And of course, that Bluetooth module is going to connect via an RJ45 cable to a port which is typically located in an easy-to-access location. So if we're talking about, let's say, a French door refrigerator, right, whether it's a cafe like the one you see on the screen or the one that's behind me, which is a regular GE profile fridge, the port is going to be located behind the top middle cover. So no need to pull the unit from the point of installation. You simply reach around the top and connect. So like, for example, in this case, for time purposes, I've already connected my Bluetooth module to this fridge, and the port is located just above behind the door. So it's pretty easy to access. All right. Now, once you do that, you're going to be able to communicate via Bluetooth between your mobile device and, of course, the appliance. And this is going to give you access to things like temperature values, right? So for example, if I want to get every single thermistor temperature value in that refrigerator, I don't have to pull the unit out of the cabinetry and take the cover from the main board and access the thermistor connections, none of that stuff, okay? No dipping thermistors in a cup of icy water. That is way in the past, my friends. We are in 2025, and we're using this new digital technology to assess, these more complex fridges, which again, some of these have multiple thermistors. So in this case, you can clearly see that there's a bunch of thermistors in this fridge, and right away we can see what the temperatures are. So without disassembling, we can assess. Now, in addition to that, you could see over here, for example, your fresh food thermistor is clearly showing you that the temperature in the fridge compartment is a little bit warmer than it should be, right? It's actually 62 degrees, a lot warmer. So just with this, you were able to find out exactly, what the problem is, where the weak cooling situation is occurring. And of course, this is going to save you a ton of time when it comes to troubleshooting. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at something else, which is the cloud-based service documentation, okay? Because SmartHQ Service doesn't just allow you to diagnose the product. It doesn't just allow you to connect and find out what's wrong with it and test components, things like that. You also get the full library of all the service documentation that is available for even products that don't have a connection port. So let's say you're working on a top-mount refrigerator, you know, the very basic bare bones. It's got typically it's an 18 to 21 cubic foot unit. It's got the freezer on the top, fridge at the bottom. Those units don't have any real communication protocol, so there's not going to be connectivity to SmartHQ, but you still need parts information, maybe disassembly, maybe you need to know how to test your heating element or your thermistors, things like that. So the service documentation for that is going to be available on SmartHQ Service. And that is going to come in the form of things like schematic diagrams, service manuals, and of course, if you're an affiliated company with GE Appliances, you can also get access to the service bulletins. Now, let's quickly shift gears over here because you also get access to parts information, all right? So let's say you needed an ice maker. You can go right to the section on the app called One Parts, and I'll go through it in detail how to get to that, but I'm just kind of giving you a high-level overview at this moment. So the parts information is actually going to give you the part number, and from the app, you can go right to the Encompass Supply B2B website and order your parts. So it's a one-stop shop, right? So you bring your iPad or your iPhone or your Android phone, whatever it is, to diagnose the product, you find out what's wrong with it, and then you go to the parts section. So I'm just going to go quickly here to the parts section, find something. Let's say I needed that ice maker, so I go to the ice maker. I zoom in, there's the ice maker right there, and of course I'll share the screen in a little bit, but there's the ice maker. I click on the item number, and there's my part number right there, WR30X, blah, blah, blah. I won't read the whole thing to you. I don't want to bore you, but that is essentially how you would be able to get the parts information. And again, right from the app, I'm going to give you a code in a little bit, how you can set up your SmartHQ Service app so that when you want to get parts, you can go directly to the Encompass Supply website, okay? And it's very convenient, very easy, one-stop shop. You diagnose, find out what's wrong, order your parts, boom, you're ready to rock and roll. Okay, so that in effect, my friends, is the system itself. And now what I want to do is kind of share with you what happens when you plug in. Okay, so again, for time purposes, just to let everybody know, I've already plugged my Bluetooth module to the fridge. And of course, I've already opened up the application on my mobile device over here. You would have to do that initially. Obviously, you would have to download the app. Make sure you have the device, have your subscription all set up, your account. I'll show you how to do that a little bit later on as well, and then you're ready to go. But what is it that you would see as soon as you plug into the appliance? So let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick over here. And what we're looking at is, let's see. Good morning, Andy. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining. Hope all is well, my good friend. So the dashboard is what you're looking at right now. This is the dashboard screen, and much like the name says, right, it is a dashboard, right, because it's going to show you what's going on with the appliance currently. So one of the things that we want to look at is, of course, your diagnostic section right here. So let's go ahead and zoom in just so everybody can have a clear view. Maybe you're looking at this on a phone. So the faults is the first thing you're going to notice, right? If you have any fault codes or error codes, whichever way you wish to call them. The previous company I worked for called them error codes. At GE Appliances, we call them fault codes. It's the same thing. There's a problem with the unit. They will show up immediately, and if you click on them, you'll get a detailed description. The alert information is like a heads up, right? It's almost like telling you, hey, buddy, you know, before you change that ice maker, or before you, I don't know, replace that circulation pump on that, you know, dishwasher, make sure you check for, you know, certain things. So I'll give you an example in the unit that we have over here, but just know that the alerts are, they basically alert you of things to look out for that you may miss, right? Because maybe you're rushing throughout your day and you got a lot of service calls lined up, things like that. So it's almost like having a friend next to you, you know, watching out for you not making a critical mistake. And of course, all the way to the right, we see firmware updates, which is going to allow you to run a firmware update on the appliance. And this is actually going to be one of the most important things I want to mention to you today, my friends. The firmware updates will give you the ability to update the board or boards in some cases that are on the machine, right? So instead of having to replace them, meaning disassembling the unit, taking it out of the point of installation, I mean, you could be spending hours doing that, depending on how difficult it is to pull the unit from where it's installed. Where with the firmware update, you can resolve that issue in a matter of just minutes, literally minutes, okay? I'm talking 10, 15 minutes, you're out of there and you don't have to worry about it anymore. All right, so that being said, let's zoom out of here, and all right, let's go back to the dashboard screen. So when you click on the fault codes, like I said, you get access to the detailed information. So whether you have active or inactive fault codes, when the fault code occurred, which is really cool because it's going to tell you when the problem happened. So rather than you having to ask your customer, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, can you tell me when this happened, when you started to notice a problem, you will see exactly when it happened and what happened, right? So that is more or less a high-level overview. And again, we'll go over in detail, but don't forget, you also get access to the service documentation, which what I'm showing right here on your screen is nothing more than the service manual for the all-in-one combo unit. And this thing is a beast, my friends. It actually has a heat pump located in the top section, which allows the clothes to dry. So this machine will actually wash and dry your clothes. But of course, it's extremely complex. It's got a bunch of sensors. It's not your regular everyday dryer. So you'll definitely want SmartHQ service to be able to diagnose that when the time comes. All right. So that being said, my friends, I think I've shown you enough PowerPoint information over here. So let's go ahead and quickly dive right into it, right? The demo. So for that, I've prepared a side-by-side view over here. So everything that you're seeing me do on my iPad over here is going to be happening on your screen on this side of the TV or the monitor that you're looking at. All right. Again, I've already connected my Bluetooth module. It's all set up to go. As you can see, we have a refrigerator, PYD22K. That's the model number. We have the serial number that shows up right away. So, really, really good information for you to be able to manage maybe warranty claims, things like that. We can also see the manufacture date, right? When this unit was manufactured, and this could be useful in terms of when your warranty expires, things like that, how long it's been running for. And as we can see here, the water filter is expired as well. So this would be a good way for you to explain to your customer, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, even though the fridge is making ice, the water is coming out, your filter is expired, it might not be the cleanest, so maybe it's time to order a new filter, and of course they can get it right from Encompass Supply, right? You guys sell filters. So this is a nice little tool over here. So let's go right into the diagnostics, okay? Here I am in front of a fridge that my customer is complaining about the fridge not working properly. Now, that's the kind of complaint you might get, right? This fridge is not working, or this fridge stinks, right? It doesn't cool, or whatever the case may be, or the ice cream melts. So at this point, you're kind of left, a little bit in the dark as to what exactly is the problem, unless you probe for more answers, right? So unless you ask your customer, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, can you give me more details? And sometimes they will, but a lot of the times they're just going to say, listen, you're the technician. You do what you got to do and just make my fridge work. So here's where SmartHQ service comes really handy, because you can see that there's 3 faults, there's 2 alerts, and there is a firmware update available. So let's go ahead and take a look at the faults first and foremost. So if I click on the faults, you have to accept this disclaimer. I can see that there are 3 active fault codes. Actually, sorry, 2 active fault codes, 1 inactive. The inactive fault code is something that happened in the past that I don't really care about because it's no longer a problem. And essentially, it's that the door was left open for more than 15 minutes. Now, this is important too, because SmartHQ service will tell you if your customer has left the door open, and so that you can explain to them that maybe a weak cooling situation is not really as a result of a defective refrigerator, but rather somebody leaving the door open. And by the way, 15 minutes is nothing. I've seen 2 hours, I've seen 8 hours, right? Somebody goes to work in the morning, takes out their food, forgets to close the fridge door, or thinks that they close it and they leave, and they come back and they shut it, and it's all, the old stuff is bad inside. So that's an inactive fault code. The active fault codes, we have 2 of them. We have a fan feedback missing, and it's the fresh food fan, right? The fan in the fridge compartment. And of course, we have a thermistor that's bad in the ice maker in the freezer compartment. So if I wanted to get a more detailed view of what to do about these fault codes, I can just simply click the down arrow key. And for example, for my fan, it's telling me that, check for ice or any other obstruction. So it gives me a high-level overview of what the fault code means and what to do about it. Now, in addition to that, watch this. I'm going to go ahead and press a button all the way at the top corner over here. This is it's called the watch box button. And that is going to give me all of my temperature values immediately in Fahrenheit. And we can't really see it unless, let me see if I can move. Let's see if I can move this. Ooh, all right, you see so I'm going to put myself out of the picture for a second here, but you see the fresh food thermistor at 62 degrees Fahrenheit right now, okay, which means that my fresh food compartment is warm, right? Just like the example we gave earlier. So bingo, I got it. The problem is the fresh food is not cooling properly. And again, I didn't even have to open the doors to check with an infrared thermometer. In fact, if you have one of those, toss it, because you don't need it for, well, don't toss it. You might need it for other appliances that don't have compatibility with SmartHQ. But in the case of GE appliances that have compatibility, you can get everything right from your app. So we see that we have 63 degrees Fahrenheit. The freezer thermistor is at 27 degrees. And my freezer evaporator thermistor is 9.42, and my fresh food evap is 2.51. So at this point, I mean, the temperature, and just to let everybody know, I only plugged this unit in this morning. I just started it this morning before the training. So it hasn't really been running for a long time. That's why it's not as cold, but we're gonna run a cooling test later to show you if it's actually capable of cooling properly or not, all right? So let's go back over here now that we all saw that temperature. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I like to center things as best as possible. So just like that, my friends, we were able to assess and find out a couple different things. I know that I have a problem with my fresh food fan, or at the very least, I think I have a problem. I don't know if it's the fan, and I don't know if it's the main board, but we're going to find out. And there is a thermistor that's out, and that is the ice maker thermistor at the bottom of the unit. And if you notice, let me pull this up again. If you notice, when I opened up the watch box, you notice that the fresh food ice maker freezer mold body thermistor is showing 300 degrees Fahrenheit. It is not 300 degrees in there, okay? The reason it's showing 300 is because there's a second ice maker that I can install in this unit. It's an optional accessory. I just haven't had time to do it. So because it's not there, SmartHQ service is detecting the absence of that thermistor, and it's throwing a code. So not a critical problem. But if that thermistor, or rather if that reading of 300 was in the fresh food thermistor or one of the evaporator thermistors, I have some work to do, right? I have some things that I have to change and fix. So that is basically how we would assess what's going on. And then let's take a look at our alerts, because we do have two alerts. So the first one says warm fresh food and freezer detected within the last 7 days. And again, that's because I just plugged the unit in. It hasn't been running that much. So SmartHQ is clearly detecting that the fresh food and freezer compartments are a little bit warmer than they should be. And there's another complaint at the bottom, no ice, or another alert, no ice complaint and ice maker off. So this is essentially telling me the customer maybe inadvertently shut off the ice maker function, so they may be complaining about the unit not making ice, but it's not really a problem. Before you swap out an ice maker or a main board or sensors or whatever, check to make sure that the ice function has been activated. That might be all you need to do for the unit to make ice. So again, it's like having a little guardian person next to you, kind of telling you, what to do, so that you don't forget. All right, it's a very handy tool. And of course, firmware updates. So you do have the little icon. It's got the red triangle next to it for firmware updates, which means this unit has the ability to, or you have the ability to perform a firmware update on this unit. All you need to do is go ahead and click the firmware update button, and then you can read what the update is going to do, right? It gives you all the detailed information as to what changes it's going to make on the refrigerator, what improvements, how it's going to help it do whatever it needs to do. And you feel free to read it if you'd like. We're not going to read it for time purposes right now, but one thing I do want you to pay attention to is how many boards it's going to update. So this is going to update unknown board. So it doesn't really tell you which board, but I believe that this updates both the main board and the door board. And when you want to perform the update, here's how you do it. You hit apply, and it asks you to hold down the start key for 3 seconds. So it's not going to happen instantly, right? It's going to ask you to do it. It's almost like giving you one more chance to think twice before you actually do it. And the only reason it's doing this is because a couple of things. You want to make sure that while you do the update, you are first of all, your mobile device is fully charged. You don't want it to die in the middle of the update. Otherwise, you have to start all over again. You want to make sure that the unit is not going to be unplugged, that you're close to the unit. Don't take any phone calls. Don't send any text message. Just let the update do what it's got to do, right, while it's happening. A lot of people ask me, what happens if I take a call, or if my power goes out, or if I disconnect the module? Well, the reality of it is nothing's going to happen. The only thing is that the update is not going to go through, and you just have to start the process all over again. So all you're going to do is just basically waste time. So just be on the, err on the side of caution. When you start the update, make sure you have a fully charged phone. And again, it's only going to take about 5-10 minutes. It's not going to take that long, but you don't want it to have like 5% and then it dies. And then that's it. Once you're done with the update, it's ready to go, and you don't have to change any parts, which again is going to save you a ton of time. When I say a ton of time and money, I was in Orlando in January. Property management company, okay, that we visited. They had 8 units that needed service. Well, they had more units that needed service, but in the span of 4 hours that I was there, helping them, train them, get them on board with SmartHQ service, we were able to service 8 units, and out of those 8 units, 6 of them we were able to fix with a simple firmware update. 6, boom, just like that. In 4 hours, we service completely. We did, looked at 8 units, but we were able to fix 6. 2 of them we couldn't fix because we didn't have the parts. We had to order them, but we were still able to troubleshoot to the point that SmartHQ told us exactly what parts they needed. So all they needed to do is order and then get the parts. All right. So that being said, my friends, let's see if we have a question in the chat over here from Tommy. So, is the update already on the device, or do I have to download it? That is a great question, Tommy. Thank you for asking, and thank you for joining. So the firmware update is actually going to live on the Bluetooth module as part of what's called a payload, right? Of course, if one of the things that you need to do is you have to periodically, let me rephrase this, you have to periodically update your Bluetooth module. And the way that you do that is inside of the box, you're going to have just a standard USB cable. So let me see if I can bring it up to the camera over here. So standard USB cable that is going to connect to your Bluetooth module. So this is not an RJ45 cable. This is a USB cable, almost like to give it power, right? But you're not really, there's no battery in here. You're not charging it. So you connect that, and then the other end, you connect it to like a laptop or just a phone charger. Just all you want to do is give the module power, right? And when you do that, and you open up your application, it's going to take you to a different screen, not the one you're looking at right now, because the one we're looking at right now is the main control board of the fridge. It's going to take you to a screen that is going to allow you to update your module. So what it does is it's updating it with the most up-to-date or the latest firmware versions that you can download to different appliances. And that's what's cool about this module is if you've ever done an update on a GE appliance, using the standard, what do they call it, the SUM module. It's like a little sort of beige color box. You order it, you get it shipped, you plug it in. They give you a procedure to follow. It's like having an unlimited supply of those, because now you can just use your app to update any product. Now, the question that you asked, right, about is the update on the device or do you have to download it? If you don't perform the update on your module periodically, then the update will live in the cloud and it'll be done via Wi-Fi from your mobile device. It's going to take a little bit longer, but the update will still go through, so you shouldn't have any problems with that. We have a couple areas with bad cell service. Totally understand. I live in northern New Jersey. The more west you go and north, it becomes a dead zone. It's like being in the moon. So SmartHQ service works without internet as far as diagnosing and doing the updates, again, as long as your module is updated. The only thing you're not going to be able to get is access to the cloud-based service documentation, because, of course, the information comes from the cloud, and if you can't access network, then you can't pull the manuals. But If you need a service manual or a training bulletin or things like that, or a mini manual, you can actually pull it up without even connecting to the unit. If you're in an area that has good cell service and you have the model number, just type it in and it'll come right up and you don't have to be connected. So great questions over here, my friend. All right, let's go ahead and move on because we do have quite a bit of material to cover, and I want to show a couple more things over here. So let's now we talked about assessing the situation. Let's talk about situations that don't really have anything to do with the product being defective. And one of the ones that comes to mind is a refrigerator that's not cooling properly, right? Or, I mean, there's so many different examples. There's a washing machine that's taking forever to finish the load. Totally different product, but same concept, right? Or a pie, or whatever that is, a bundt cake. I don't know what that is. That's some kind of a bread that is dipped in the center. And all three cases, right? The customer is like trying to figure out, what's wrong with it? Why is it not? Why is my clothes taking so long? Or why is the fridge warm? Things like that. These are all cases that, we refer to them as no defect found. And what we mean by that is you walk in, you test everything, and everything checks out 100%, right? The unit, for all intents and purposes, is working to factory specifications. So how do you fix something you can't see? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at SmartHQ service. We have a feature called cycle history. And in this case, of course, we're talking about refrigerators, so we're going to look at that. In the case of refrigerator cycle history, you can actually see a history of all the temperature values, including your fresh food or any compartment temperature, whether it's fresh food or evaporator or freezer rather. You can look at the evaporator thermistor temperature values, and you can also see how many times the door has been open and how long it's been left open for. And one more, you can see when the defrost heaters kicked in. Now, check this out. This is pretty cool. You notice that the top row says time ago, days, hours. So we show over here, look at the center, right at the center of the screen, 4 days and 3 hours ago. So if we go down, we can see that the temperature went up to 65 degrees, 48 degrees. And then what is that number 5 and that number 16? So if we scroll to the right, we can see the fresh food door was left open for 5 minutes. And the fresh food defrost heater kicked in for 16 minutes. And that is what caused these temperature values to rise. Not the product being defective, but rather a combination of the door being open for 5 minutes and then the heater also coincidentally turning on at the same time. So we can actually hit the little graph button up here, and if we graph the data, you can see that spike right there. And this makes it a little bit easier for you to see when the temperature went up. And if you kind of go down here, it's sort of grayed out, but you can see the 5 and the 16. So 5 minutes that the door was left open and 16 minutes that the fresh food defrost heater was on for. So just like that, we were able to assess the situation and know exactly, that the problem in terms of why the fridge was warm during that time is not a defective fridge, but rather two things. The door was left open and then the heater, the heater kicked in at the same time. All right, so we talked about cycle history. We talked about how to assess. Now let's talk about how to test, okay? Now, you know very well that in order to test any component on a product, whether it's a fridge, dishwasher, washing machine, doesn't matter what it is, you have to get into the service mode. And depending on the manufacturer, the service mode can be simple or it can be very complex. GE's is kind of in the middle, right? There's a couple key code sequences you have to remember, and you have to then look at the codes, maybe refer back to a user guide to find out what it is, or if you want to activate certain components, test number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 could mean different things. But in this case, we're going to get into service mode by simply going to our application over here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go to so I'll walk you through the steps, okay? We're going to go to where it says diagnostics. We're going to click diagnostic features, and now we get this menu over here. And the menu basically tells us that we can do the cycle history that I showed you before. So if you click on that, you can view your cycle history. You can look at your operate loads or your diagnostic tests. So let's start with operate loads, because operate loads allows us to check individual components. So we click operate loads, And now you notice that we have the option to turn on the fans, heaters, cooling system, etc. But first we need to enter service mode. To do that, there's a little green button at the bottom. And I'm going to demonstrate by opening the fridge door to show you how we get into service mode, okay? Right now, the unit is working by itself independently, right? The unit is just controlling itself. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and enter service mode, and you're going to notice that the temperature is going to, the lights are going to shut off. Why am I thinking temperature? I'm thinking something else. The lights are going to shut off, indicating that we are in service mode. Watch. So there's service mode, the lights turned off, and now I have full control of this appliance. To show you that visually, probably the easiest way is we're going to go to doors and lights. So this is not going to stay open by itself. Let's see if we could do that. It's okay. All right, we're going to go to doors and lights, and I'm going to go ahead and turn on the fresh food LEDs. Watch, fresh food LEDs on. And just like magic, the LEDs came on. And just like that, I'm going to go ahead and shut them off. So we're going to hit off, and they turn off. All right, and we'll let the door kind of close by itself there. I'll persuade it. There we go. Okay, so essentially what I did right now, my friends, is I activated the fresh food LEDs on and off. And you might be thinking, big deal, you know, so what? So you can turn the LEDs on and off. But take a look at this, my friends. Remember the problem we had with the fan before, or the fault code that we had related to the fan? We know that there's a problem with the fan, right? Because clearly our fresh food compartment is not cooling properly. And also we had the fault code that said we had a problem with the fresh food fan. But how do we know if it's the fan or the main control board? Well, here's how. We're going to go to the fans all the way at the beginning of the app, or at the left side of the screen over here. And you can see right now that every single fan is available here. The freezer evap all the way at the top, then the condenser fan, fresh food fan, ice cabinet fan, and of course a deli pan fan. There's a bunch of different 5 fans that we can activate. 5 fans, right? This is a pretty complex unit. So let me go ahead and turn them all on and see what happens. So we're going to go all fans on. And now what I want you to notice is that every single fan that is running will be running at high speed. So you can see on your screen over there, for example, the freezer evap fan is running at high speed at an RPM speed of 2287 RPMs, 2287 RPMs. We can see that the condenser fan right below it is running at high speed also, but at 1,556 RPMs, revolutions per minute. And then we go to the fresh food fan, and it's running at high, or at the very least the main board wants it to run at high, but it's showing 0 RPMs. So right then and there, my friends, I know for a fact that my main board is sending the signal to the fan to run at the speed that it should be running, at high speed. But because I don't get a feedback signal from the fan, that is a clear indication that my problem is the fan itself, not the main board. And I'll explain why, okay? So let's go ahead and shut off that particular fan, the fresh food evaporator. Watch closely where the red is. So we're going to turn it off, and you're going to notice that the load status goes from high to off. That is your main board, right? What basically you did is you sent the command signal to the main board to shut off the function that sends power, the 12 or 13 volts, whatever it is, that sends that power to the fan. Now we're going to turn it on a different speed. We're going to turn it on medium, just to show you how the load status goes from off to medium. It's going to say MED. There it is. So clearly my main board is working properly because it's reacting to all the commands that I'm giving it. But because the main board is not receiving the feedback signal from the hall sensor that's on the fan, it's showing 0 RPM. So the problem is with my fan. Could it be a problem with some restriction there, maybe ice buildup or something? Yeah, it could, definitely. It could also be a bad wire harness, but that's where you become, a technician, right? You have to actually inspect it. But at the very least, my friends, I know for a fact here, based on these readings, that my main board is good. Okay, I don't have to replace that. And one of the worst things that, we could do as technicians out there is replace unnecessary parts, okay? Because we end up, even if it's a COD, right? Customer's going to pay for it, whatever the case may be, you end up charging them more and your rates become less competitive. So let's say that you don't have this tool and you're trying to avoid a recall or a redo, right? Having to go back a second time. And you're like, you know what, just to play it safe, I'm going to bring with me the main board and the fan. so that I don't have to go back in case I misdiagnose. Well, it's probably going to fix it. The problem is you're going to charge your customer an extra $250, whatever the board costs, to fix that unit, where they only had to pay for a fan. And because you weren't sure and you put in a main control board, now you charge them more. So that's when you get into the competitive advantage if you have this tool, because now you can charge your customer just the part that they need. You can quote a better rate, better price, and anytime your customer needs help with their appliances, they're going to call you because you were able to fix it with, you still fixed it the same way, right? But you were able to fix it at a lower cost to them. And of course, less time for you because you don't have to change the board. You don't have to order it. Maybe it's out of stock. Maybe it's on back order. Who knows? Variety of things that can happen. So that's one example. Let's go to the chat over here. I don't think we have any more questions, but again, my friends, if you have any questions during this call, you can type in your questions in the chat box there, and we'll be happy to respond. All right, another example over here. Let's talk. Let's get out of the fans and let's turn them all off. So all fans off. So now we shut off all the fans. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our temperature values. So we click that little button at the top, and let's take a look at the fresh food evaporator thermistor and the freezer evaporator thermistor. Okay, I want to go ahead and run a cooling test here because one of the things I want to verify is that my sealed system doesn't have a problem, right? And one of the easiest ways to do that is to run this, what's called a cooling test. Now, a lot of us in the field, myself as well, what we used to do is, and maybe you still do it, if you want to check your sealed system, you want to make sure that refrigerant is going to the evaporator coils, well, you take the food out of the compartments, you pull the evaporator cover off, and you look for a nice, even frost pattern. And let me tell you, hands down, that is the best way to verify. But it is also extremely time consuming. So I'm going to show you an alternative way to do that using SmartHQ service. So we're going to go ahead and exit service mode. We are going to get back out to the main screen just so we can kind of go through the whole thing in order, right? So you notice that the lights are back on. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to diagnostic features, diagnostic tests, and I'm going to enter service mode again. So now we have entered service mode again, but now we are in the diagnostic test section. We're not operating individual components. We're operating an entire subsystem, which in this case, it's a cooling test. So the first thing I want to do, this is a dual evaporator refrigerator. As you can see on your screen over here, you have access to a three-way valve. And what we're going to do first is we're going to activate the valve so that it opens the line so that it sends refrigerant to both the freezer and the fresh food compartments. So let's go ahead and do that first. Right now, as you can see, currently they're both closed. So let's open them up to freezer and fresh food. And if you were behind the unit on the actual stepper motor, right, the little three-way valve, and you put your hand over it while this is happening, you would feel it sort of vibrate. It's basically the stepper motor moving into the right position. And we can see right now, based on our status, the refrigerant will go, if it's working properly, we'll go to the fresh food and the freezer section. Now we're going to go ahead and start our compressor and condenser high-speed test. So essentially, when I click this button, the compressor will turn on. I just heard the click, so it turned on. And of course, the condenser fan will run. No fans are going to run except the condenser fan. Okay, so no fans in the fresh food or the freezer section or anywhere else are going to run. Just the one fan. And we can see that our starting temperature is somewhere in the 17 degrees and 22 degrees area for the fresh food and the freezer evaporators. So that being said, my friends, what I'm expecting to happen right now in the next few minutes is, because the compressor is running, the three-way valve is open to send refrigerant to both the fresh food and the freezer compartments, and the condenser fan is running, I'm expecting those evaporator thermistor values to drop. All right, and it's going to take a little while, may take a few minutes, but this is going to confirm, right, that my sealed system is good. If I only see one compartment drop and not the other, maybe I have a restriction, maybe I have some kind of a problem, or if I don't see either one of them drop, I might have a refrigerant problem, right? Refrigerant leak, maybe, again, could be totally restricted, who knows? So we're going to give that a little bit of time. just like you would if you, let's say, activate the unit in force, like run mode, and try to cool down both evaporator coils, and then you open up the compartments. But this is going to be easier because all we're going to do is we're going to look at the before temperature and the after temperature. While that's happening, my friends, let me go ahead and quickly talk about the SmartHQ Service Bundle Pack, okay? Because you can now, so a lot of you out there might have this. Some of you might be saying, where can I get this? How can I get this tool? So here it is, my friends. This is the SmartHQ Service Bundle Pack. The part number is SPSB, like in boy, 10P01A. And that is, of course, going to be printed right on your box right over here. That is the SmartHQ Service Bundle Pack. And again, you can get it right from Encompass Supplies. What it does, what this has, my friends, is, of course, it includes the bundle pack. It includes the Bluetooth module, your cables that you need to connect. And inside of the box, or I should say on the module itself, on the sticker that's all the way in one of the ends, all right, there's going to be what's called a MAC ID. And that MAC ID is your code for your 6-month subscription. So this little box right over here, when you purchase it from Encompass Supply, is going to come with the module, plus it's going to come with a 6-month subscription to the app here itself. So you don't have to go to a different place to buy it. It's all in one shot. Now, there is a process to activate your code, just like anything else, right? You go online and you redeem your code. And I want to show you that process. So we made a little video, which, by the way, is on our YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and type in SmartHQ Pro, that video will be available. So let's go ahead and show the video for those of you that are out there that have either purchased this and haven't set it up, or if you are going to purchase it. Take a look.
Congratulations on purchasing your new SmartHQ Service Bundle Pack. Follow these simple steps to register your account. Inside the box, you'll find this insert. Scan the QR code to navigate directly to our online quick start guide. Click the link shown to access the SmartHQ Service Customer Portal and register your account. It is important to note that device registration should only be completed by account owners and not technicians. If you already have an account, please sign in using your existing login credentials. You can also register on a PC by visiting service.dashboard.smarthqpro.com. Once this process is complete, you'll receive an email prompting you to verify your account. If you do not receive a verification email, it's possible you already have an account. In this case, please enter your email address and click Forgot Password. Now, log into your customer portal and navigate to the section labeled Your Purchases. Select Bundle Pack and enter the MAC ID found on the Bluetooth module. Be sure to use capital letters as this field is case sensitive. Your subscription is now activated and you can begin assigning technicians. Click Allocate Licenses and enter the technician's information, including the mobile device type that will be utilized. Technicians will receive a verification email with detailed instructions on how to set up the SmartHQ Service app on their mobile device. If you have any questions about this process, please email smarthqservice.support@geappliances.com.
All right, my friends, and that was the quick video. Again, very important that you set up the account on the on the customer portal, because if you don't do that, what's going to happen is you are going to basically get an error message on your SmartHQ app saying that you have access denied. So, excuse me. Once you create your account, redeem your code just like it showed over there in the video, and you basically are ready to go. Okay, you can start assigning the license to anybody that you like, or to yourself if you're a one-man operation, one-woman operation. That's how basically you would set up your account. All right. The other thing is, my friends, we do have. I want to share one more piece of information over here, and that is that we have a training series, okay? It's called Fix It Like a Pro, and we offer this independent from what we're doing today with Encompass. Of course, Encompass is a great partner for us, but independent from the trainings that we're going to be doing with them, there is this monthly training series called Fix It Like a Pro. And if you're looking at this on a TV or something, you can go ahead and scan that QR code right there. If you don't have access to if you're watching this on a phone, you obviously can't access it, but you can just go to our website, smarthqpro.com, and look for the section that's called webinars. And this series brings you every month a different product. So wall ovens, schematic diagrams, some you talk about, zone line HVAC products. Of course, what you're looking at right there is dishwashers. And very similar to what I'm doing right now, where I have a product next to me and I show the app on the screen and I walk you through all the steps on how to diagnose and troubleshoot. The same exact thing that you can look at on our Fix It Like a Pro training series. All right. So that, my friends, is essentially where you can find additional resources to get more education. And sometimes we bring some guests on the show. So it's kind of a pretty cool thing. That being said, let's go back over here to our friend and see what happened with the cooling test. So we can see that after 7 minutes, okay, you can see right there, 7 minutes and 12 seconds that the compressor has been running. The temperature on the fresh food evaporator went from 17 degrees to minus 1.77. So clearly there's refrigerant going to the fresh food evaporator coils. And my freezer went from 22 degrees down to 6.91. So it's getting colder and colder. So this tells me that my sealed system is good because refrigerant is going to both the fresh food and the freezer evaporators. And I don't have to pull the food from the compartments, take the evaporator cover off. I saved all that time. If you ever do a sealed system repair, run this test after, okay? Because this will tell you hands down if it's good or not. Of course, there's other things you can do, but just this is a nice way. And it's also a nice way for you. Think about this, right? It's a nice way for you to bring your customer, ma'am, sir, come over here. I want to show you something. If you take a look over here, you can clearly see that, what was before and after. You can see your fridge is cooling. So now you don't have to call me, 24 hours and tell me what's happening. We know right away for a fact that we were able to fix your unit properly. So this serves almost as what I like to call a post-repair functionality verification test, okay? And the same thing applies for dishwashers, washing machines, ranges, things of that nature, right? So that being said, let's go ahead and kill this test. So all off, not the Disney character, all off. Sorry, it's early in the morning. Had to throw that one in there. Let me make sure we don't have anything in the... Oh, we have a question in the chat over here. So we have a question about the bundle pack. So the bundle pack number is, I'm going to type it in the chat, SPSB10P01A. Hopefully I got that right. Andy, if you're on the line, if you could just confirm that is right, SPSB10P01A. Just ask for it by name, bundle pack. If you ask any of your Encompass Supply rep, they'll tell you what it is. But again, I believe they do have it in stock available right now. So as soon as you can get it, because the faster you have it, the faster you can do firmware updates. I mean, I was actually in Davie, Florida. So the Encompass Supply location, beautiful area, Fort Lauderdale, nice beaches, everything. And there was a technician from a company called, what was it called? A-Bar Solutions. So this technician basically, he gave us kind of like a little testimonial. He's been using SmartHQ. He was there to get training for his other technician who was going to buy, a module for him and an account. He basically just flat out told us, I spend about 10 minutes in a customer's house, sometimes with the firmware updates, and I never have to go back because it's it's like magic, right? It's like waving a magic wand at the appliances in some cases. Some cases it's not, but in a lot of cases when you do the firmware update, it takes care of it right away. And I mean, I asked him, 10 minutes? That's how long it took you? He's like, yeah. The time it would have taken me to order the board, wait for the board to come in, reschedule another service call. He's like, I was able to run 2 or 3 more in all, like 2 or 3 more service calls I was able to run in the time that I saved because I was able to do the update. So if you think about it, right, when it comes to making the investment, the tool itself is the bundle pack. I believe the retail price for this to have it with the 6-month subscription is $499. So $200 for the module and then $50 a month for the subscription. forget the cost, right? Think about this. Use it one time a month, just one time, to save you a second or third service trip. And not only have you paid for the subscription, but you've actually made a little profit in the process, because I'm not going to tell you how much it costs to put a technician. You know how much it costs you to put a technician in the field. It's far more than $50. So again, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to show you the tool, and obviously you make your own decision. But if you ask me, as a technician, as a fellow technician that I did this for years in the field, just get the device. Okay, get it. You will not regret it. The only regret you're going to have is that you didn't do it sooner. That's hands down. I'm just being very, very transparent with you here. All right, let me show you one more test over here before we go, where we're going to go ahead and activate our, let's go to operate loads, and now we're going to activate the defrost heaters. Okay, so let's say you have a frozen evaporator or a defrost heater that's not, that you think is bad, and you're like, okay, is it the main board? Is it the bimetal device? Is it the heating element? And you could do a bunch of tests, right? You can put the unit into test mode, go ahead and run the, check your voltage coming out of the main board, check your resistance on the heater. Let's forget about all that and just go ahead and use SmartHQ to run a defrost heater test. So let's go ahead and take a look at the freezer defrost heater right now. Is at 13 degrees, okay, because again, it was kind of getting cold in there. So we're gonna go ahead and turn on the defrost heater and watch what's gonna happen. So I'm gonna hit defrost heater on. I just heard the relay click, and my load status says on, which means the main board is sending power to the heater. Two ways that I noticed that. Number one is I heard with my ears, I heard the relay click in the back of this fridge. You weren't able to hear it because my microphone's not picking it up. But I heard the relay click. And then the other thing is that my load status says on, which means my main board is pumping out 120 volts to the defrost heater. Now, the only way that I'm going to know if the defrost heater is actually working is if in a few minutes that freezer evaporator temperature goes up, because essentially the freezer evaporator thermistor is the one that is detecting the heat that's being radiated from the heater being on, right? So let's give that a couple minutes, just like we did the cooling test. And just keep in mind, we're about at 16 degrees Fahrenheit right now. What I'm expecting that to go up to is, I don't know, another 10, 15 degrees in the next few minutes. And once it starts cooking, right, once that heater gets really, really hot, it's gonna just, whoop, the temperature is gonna just start to rise. Something I didn't mention also, the evaporator thermistor could be bad. The fact that the evaporator thermistor is able to read the temperature going down, and you know, when we cooled the unit, and then it's going to go up when we actually turn on the heater, tells us that the thermistor is working well. If it was bad, like if it was open or shorted, first of all, you would see that in red. But in this case, it appears that it's good. Okay, so that's another component that you can check, again, without having to take out a single tool. Think about this. I have not moved from this spot in the entire presentation, and I've checked my thermistors, my fans, my defrost heater, and my sealed system, all in less than an hour. I mean, it's pretty amazing if you ask me. All right. For those of you, again, that are new to this, again, if you get the bundle, whether you get the bundle pack or if you just buy a module individually and you want to get a 1-year subscription through our website, whichever way you want to do it, it's going to work out. The bundle pack just makes it a lot easier because you could just go to your Encompass rep and they can take care of it for you right away. So let me go ahead and show you. We do have this short video clip that shows you step-by-step how to register your account one more time. So this is a little bit more detailed than the video I showed earlier. And also it's going to show you how to allocate the licenses to a technician. So let's go ahead and take a look.
The SmartHQ Service Customer Portal allows you to easily manage all aspects of your account from a single user-friendly interface. To get started, you'll need to register your account by visiting service.dashboard.smarthqpro.com. Please note that registration must be completed before you can access SmartHQ service. Once this process is complete, you'll receive an email prompting you to verify your account. In the event that you do not receive a verification email, it is possible you already have an account. In this case, click Forgot Password and enter your email address to reset your password. A password recovery link will be sent to your email. You can now sign into the customer portal using your login information. Now, let's navigate the customer portal interface. Click My Profile to view your account information. Here, you will be able to change your password, edit your information, and add additional admins if needed. The My Technician section allows you to see everyone who has a SmartHQ service license assigned to them. From here, you can manage each technician individually and add or revoke licenses. Under Manage Purchases, you can see the total number of licenses you've purchased and how many are available. You can also purchase additional subscriptions and Bluetooth modules. For additional support, click the Help button located at the top of the page. Here, you will find additional content to help you manage your account. You can also click the Contact Us button to report an issue, provide general feedback, or cancel a subscription. If you have any questions, please email smarthqservice.support@geappliances.com.
All right, my friends, so there you have it. That is how you set up your account on the customer portal. That is how you register. And of course, once you acquire your licenses, you can go ahead and assign them to any technician. What's cool about the portal, my friends, is also that if you have, for example, a technician that leaves your company and someone else will take their place. Obviously, the module, the service account belongs to you. If you're the owner, you can transfer that over to your new hire, right? And then they have the, transfer the credentials so they can log in on their own mobile device. Also, the app itself allows you to be able to switch from one device to another. So if, let's say I switch from, my iPad breaks and I go ahead and get a Android tablet. It used to be in the past that you had to call us or you had to email us and wait for us to, get to it. Now you could do it, boom, instantly right from the portal, and you don't have to wait. So it makes life a lot easier for you and for us as well, because we're able to help you in other ways that are more efficient. All right. So that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at our friend over here. What's going on with the temperature values? And whoa, here we can see clearly. The defrost heater, the freezer defrost heater, has been on for 5 minutes, 48 seconds, about 6 minutes or so. And it already went from, 11 degrees or 13 all the way to 28 degrees. Now, it is 28 degrees right now, but even if I stop the test, the heater is still hot. So it's going to continue to radiate heat. So we're going to see that thermistor continue to go up and up and up, even if we shut off the defrost heater, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and kill it, turn it off. No more defrost heater. And you can see the temperature continues to go up 29 degrees, because again, that defrost heater is not just going to stop getting, or it's not going to stop being hot. It's still going to be hot. It's just not going to get any more power applied to it. So eventually it'll peak and then it'll cool back down again. All right, so let's go back out of service mode. So let's exit service mode and let's go to our final section, which is parts. All right, let's talk about how you get your parts from this app. So if we go all the way back to our dashboard screen, right? So we're in our main screen over here, and we can see all the way at the bottom, miscellaneous features. One thing I forgot to mention before, service documentation. Where do you get that? Let's talk about that. Product features has a section called manuals and bulletins. And if you click on that, in here, you will be able to get your mini manual, your training bulletins, your service bulletins, again, if you're an affiliated company. So let's quickly take a look at the schematic diagram of this product, okay? So I'm going to click on mini manual. And for this, I'm going to take myself out of the picture just so you can appreciate the quality of these graphics. Take a look at when I zoom in, okay? Let's say that I wanted to get my defrost heater test points on the main board. Look at the crystal clear graphics that you get with SmartHQ service. My freezer defrost heater is 37 ohms. It's got 2 black wires, which go to the main board. They turn into an orange and a blue wire. And it shows here that I'm in connector J1C and either J1 pin 4 or J1B pin 2. But anything, even fans, right? Like I want to check my fan for 13 volts or the revolutions per minute coming out of the fan. All of this, you can find it right here. Door switches, what else? Internal water paddle switch. I mean, everything that you could think of. My thermistors, where do I check my fresh food thermistor? Well, it's on connector J11, pins 13 and 14. And it's a brown and blue wire, so it makes it very easy for me to access this information. The other thing I wanted to show you, my friends, is also the parts information, right? I mentioned that before. So if you go all the way to the bottom where it says 1 parts, I'm going to go ahead and click on that button. Here you will have an exploded drawing of every single section in the refrigerator. So let's say that I needed, I don't know, just go to the machine area because I need a main control board, right? So we're going to go to the machine compartment area at the bottom. And there is my main control board right there, item 901. So I can go ahead and take a look at that. And here's my part number, refrigerator main control board. Now, one thing I can do with this is I can actually copy and paste this. So we're going to copy this, close this out, and then I can go to parts ordering. Again, all the way at the bottom of your screen, parts ordering. We're going to click on that, and we're going to click parts marketplace. Now, it asks you to contact your parts distributor for the code, and this is the code I was talking to you about, so let's go ahead and put in that code. If you're purchasing from Encompass Supply, it is going to be ENC23. So remember that code, my friends, ENC23, and this is going to take you directly to the Encompass website over here. So we're in the Encompass Supply website, and what you can do is you can actually go ahead and paste that part number. So I pasted it there, search, and there is the main control board, all right, which is really cool. So it gives you a bunch of pictures. It's in stock. There's a price. If there's a new part number that has superseded the part number that's, that was before, that is going to be right then and there. So there's the cost. You can add it to your cart, add a protection plan. It's a thing of beauty, my friends. The fact that you can do this, all right, the fact that you can order parts and get everything in a one-stop shop, right? So you diagnose, test, do everything that you wanted to do. It just makes it super simple. And, Encompass Supply makes it real easy because we're able to go, right to their B2B website. Now, again, the code for Encompass Supply is going to be ENC23, and you can save that for future use if Encompass is your preferred parts distributor. So you can just save that. So anytime that you try to order parts again, you don't have to type in that code. It'll save it for you permanently. Okay. Let me go back over here and just take a look at the what are we turning on? The freezer evaporator thermistor. Let's take a look at the temperature right now. Freezer evaporator thermistor. So it's at 23 degrees, 25 degrees Fahrenheit. And we can see that it's starting to cool down because when I took the unit out of service mode, the compressor kicked in, and of course everything is going to start to cool down. But that, in effect, my friends, is the presentation that we have for you prepared today. So again, I just want to send a big thank you to everyone at Encompass Supply: Lisa, Andy, John, Andrea, everyone else who has welcomed us to their platform, to their trade shows, to their to their events. We look forward to a continued collaboration. And of course, my friends, stay in touch with your Encompass rep because we will be broadcasting more of these live events, and possibly we'll be at one of the Encompass locations, maybe Atlanta. Maybe back in Florida very soon. All right. So until next time, my friends, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you, and we'll leave you with our contact information. Feel free to reach out to us. We're also going to show the QR code so you can register for the Fix It Like a Pro website. And don't forget, my friends, that at GE Appliances, we are here to help and always here for you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.